Let's look at Chapter 4 of HIMT 2200. This chapter is using teamwork in performance improvement. So basically what this chapter is about is how we form our teams, how those teams should interact, the different responsibilities of these performance improvement teams. Again, we're still kind of talking about the formation, the foundation of performance improvement. They mention in your book there are 3 different approaches to performance improvement. The rapid improvement team, the dissemination of information, or develop an educational training program, and then develop a functional or what we call cross-cultural performance improvement team. So let's talk about all 3 of these. When you talk about let's see what the next slide is. There we go. When you talk about rapid improvement, this is where you see an immediate need. It just gets handled. There's no need for forming a team, going through all the processes. If it can be a quick fix, then deal with it. However, not all performance improvement, we're fortunate enough that it can be a quick fix. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, a lot of input, a lot of surveying, a lot of measuring of things. It's not quite as simple as we would like it to be. So when we talk about a rapid improvement team, this is just a quick, they tell us in our book, the rapid improvement team constructs relatively simple fixes that improve work processes without going through the whole PI process and without the need to involve other departments. So it's more simplistic. They also talk about disseminating information or develop an educational training program. Sometimes there are processes that could be improved by the use of some training, re-educating our workforce. I know that when we all had to leave campus and go home to work remotely, we received a lot of training videos that we mandatorily had to do because we were getting inundated with potential virus issues, computer virus issues, and phishing and other things. So they delivered educational training for us to help improve our performance. Another approach would be the functional, or what we call cross-functional, and this is where you involve more than one department. A lot of the processes that we do in facilities affect more than one department. So therefore, when you form these performance improvement teams, it needs to take in consideration who all it will affect, all the departments that could be affected, even the customers that could be affected. And in a hospital situation, that would be the patients that could be affected. So again, just 3 different approaches to performance improvement: the rapid improvement team approach, disseminating information or develop an educational training approach, and then develop a functional, or what we call cross-functional performance improvement team. So 3 different ways to deal with that. Of course, the most simplistic is the rapid improvement team. That's the quick fix. The more detailed is going to be the cross-functional performance improvement team that involves a lot of input from a lot of different people. Okay. Now, when we talk about composing these teams, putting them together, there's a lot of different things that needs to be taken into consideration. When you put together a team, a performance improvement team, it shouldn't be just your friends. It shouldn't be just the people you like. There should be a lot more things that are considered. All the departments that are involved. You can't exclude a department just because you don't work in that department or you don't know much about that department. We need to include representation from all departments that could be affected by the decisions that we're making. Who are the customers of the process? Who will receive the product or service that the process produces? So again, that could be our If we're talking about revenue cycle, that could be our providers, that could be our third-party payers. If it's a process that affects patients, some of that representation needs to be included. Who supplies the process or who provides materials or services for use in the process under investigation? So, I mean, there's more than just thought. There could be materials, supplies, time, travel, different things that could be involved in this performance improvement team composition. So there needs to be, budgetary issues and whatnot. So all of that needs to be taken in consideration, as well as when you put the team together. How many should be on that team? You don't want 30 people on a team. That's way too much. You need to limit that team. Typically, the rule of thumb is 8 to 10 people on the team. Sometimes you have to make decisions. You got really good people in departments, but sometimes you can only pick, one representative from that department. Okay. Another thing that has to be considered is who will serve in what roles on the performance improvement team. All teams need a leader, so that leader needs to be selected. And let's look at what they say here about our leader. The team leader should be someone the team respects, as well as someone who is organized and will take the initiative to see the team through the process. The person should also know or understand the performance improvement process and clearly understand the process to be improved. The team leader is primarily responsible for championing the effectiveness of the process in meeting customers' needs. So the team leader needs to be someone that will take charge, respects other people's opinions, is organized, will take care of things, will keep the process moving along, takes in consideration, the customer's viewpoint of things. So it needs to be someone who's a good listener and a good communicator. Okay. So team leader, very important role. And if you look on page 54 of the chapter, there's a whole list of things. Someone that can delegate, assign tasks, someone that can critique the meetings, and someone that provides expertise, someone that ensures group participation and doesn't leave anyone out. Keep things focused on what is the issue at hand and doesn't let things go off the tracks. So a lot of responsibility of the team leader. A team facilitator is kind of like a consultant. This could be someone who knows the PI process well. Maybe they've been through it in other businesses, companies, situations, and has facilitated such a team in the past. The facilitator may be required to train the team in the PI process and quality improvement tools. So again, a facilitator is kind of like a consultant to this PI team, this performance improvement team. A team member, some teams combine the roles of the leader and the facilitator and assign one person to both functions. The role of a team member includes the following: participating in the decision making, identifying opportunities for improvement, gathering, prioritizing, analyzing data, sharing knowledge, information, and data that pertain to the process under study. So when someone's a team member, I would hope that they wouldn't just sit back and just observe and never offer input, never follow up with the things that they've been assigned. That's not an effective team member. There should be a team recorder. It's so important in these processes, especially when it's a long, drawn-out process, that someone is taking good notes, keeping up with all the documentation, keeping up with charts and graphs and all sorts of paperwork that goes with this process. So a team recorder, or what we call a team scribe, is some people might call it the committee secretary. I mean, there could be several names for this, but they call it the team recorder. And again, like I said, keeping up with all the charts, diagrams, assisting with notices and supplies for meetings. I mean, there's a list of things here: keeping the minute meetings, setting up agendas, and that sort of thing. A timekeeper is very important because if you've ever participated on groups, you know that people can get off on tangents very quickly. They can monopolize the meeting. So keeping things according to the agenda and delegating a certain amount of time and working within that time is important. And you need someone that's going to watch the clock and only allow certain topics a certain amount of time and only allow certain people a certain amount of time. So very important um, to have a timekeeper. Team charters. A charter is something that's established for an organization, for a club, of how things are going to be done. But before I get into that, let's talk about the term called Performance Improvement Council. It said in many healthcare organizations, the initiation of a performance improvement team begins with ongoing data review of performance measures identified by the Performance Improvement Council, the leadership group that oversees performance improvement activities in the healthcare organization. The PI Council generally makes the recommendation for the implementation of a PI team when a performance measure shows negative or downward trend. And so if the Performance Improvement Council of the facility is seeing that benchmarks are not being met, or there's a trend that's going in a negative direction, they will make the decision of whether or not to create or give the authority to put together this team. Because putting together a team, depending on how it's put together, can take away people from departments. It can cost money if there's travel involved or if a consultant needs to be hired. So there needs to be an approval process. This can be formalized with a team charter. So the team charters explain the issues the team was initiated to address, describes the team's goal or vision, lists the initial members of the team and their respective departments. So it goes on with basically why this group was put together, who's on this group, what are their responsibilities. It's basically that foundation of why the team was put together. Okay. All right, let me catch up here. Okay, so here's a little bit of information about team charters. It explains the issues, describes the goal or vision, lists the initial members and their respective departments. Helpful to keep the team's objectives in focus. Why are we having this team? What is our end result hopefully going to be, etc. Let's look at check your understanding. Of course, the answers to these are in the back of the book, but I'm going to go over them real quick. It says the HIM department is concerned with backlog of release of information request processing. The HIM manager pulls a team from the request of information or release of information staff together to work on the issue to improve the ROI process and performance. This is an example of a functional team. It's definitely not a quick fix, so it's going to be a functional team. The HIM manager creates a document that explains the release of information issues the team was implemented to improve, describes the goals and objectives, lists the team vision, lists the members, etc., etc. This is definitely a team charter that's been put together. All right, now if you move on over, there's an example of a team charter. It can be in a lot of different formats. That's just one that they included in this book. You see the team name, you see when it was started, you see the issue that why they were put together, you see the members, their departments, and just some basic information about the team itself. Now, the next section we want to look at is all about mission statements, vision statements, and value statements. All organizations should have a mission statement. For example, here at Wiregrass, our mission statement is just a paragraph. And basically what it boils down to is that our mission statement, and if you ask any of us here, we will tell you that the mission statement is, in 2 words, workforce development. That's it. Okay, actually, workforce. One word, excuse me, workforce development. So that's our mission. That's what we do, and everything we do here at the college is centered around that mission statement. And a mission statement can control what you do or don't do. There's been decisions here at the college that are things that were proposed that we couldn't do because it doesn't match up with our mission statement, because that mission statement is a very, very important item, and we have to review it frequently. It has to be approved, so it shouldn't be taken lightly. So let's look over at the mission statement. And a team can have a mission statement. So a mission statement is not just for an organization. A team can have a mission statement. But a mission statement identifies the performance improvement team, what it does, who it serves. Where a value statement is a short description that communicates an organization's social and cultural belief system. Okay. Then the vision statement, this is a more long term, and it says the team also should articulate its vision statement for the process. The vision statement describes what an organization or PI team initiative will look like or be in the future. So it describes the milestones that should be achieved along the way, and it looks more further down the road. So make sure you look at the definitions of mission statement, value statement, and vision statement, and they give you a couple of examples there. Okay, now the next thing that needs to be taken care of as we're forming our performance improvement team is setting the ground rules. And this can be something that the team puts together and documents so that there are some guidelines that they function within. So ground rules are basic expectations for team members and include a discussion of, and what are the attendance policies of the team. Maybe if a team member misses 2 consecutive meetings, they'll be replaced. I don't know, I'm just making something up there, but there needs to be some ground rules established and the team members agree to work within them. The time management, when are the meetings going to be held, how long they're going to be each time they meet, the participation expectations, the communication expectations, decision-making process, documentation, how we're going to do that, arranging the rooms, cleaning up, who's responsible, etc. And the list could go on and on and on, but the ground rules need to be established and everybody should be familiar with those ground rules. Okay, when we're not familiar with the ground rules, it causes a bit of chaos. So forming those ground rules is important. All right, now let's look at the next one, and this is problem-solving techniques. And there's 2. One is called inclusive and one is called exclusive. So 2 different styles. This is under the section of problem-solving techniques, listening and questioning. And team members or team members can fall into a couple of categories when making decisions. Are they inclusive, meaning that all viewpoints are considered with respect to their potential contribution to solving the issue at hand? Or the other style or approach would be exclusive. Its goal is to get the result as quickly as possible, and they may not consider all the other opinions and thoughts and whatnot. So they both have their advantages and disadvantages, but with inclusive, all viewpoints are going to be considered. With exclusive, maybe the decision has to be made quickly. There's not a lot of time and therefore exclusive problem-solving techniques can be implemented. All right, now let's go on over to people issues. With people issues, there's a lot of things that need to be taken in consideration because you've got a lot of different personalities, a lot of different agendas that are usually included in these teams that have been put together. Not everybody's going to agree. And so therefore, let's look at page 61 and talk about people issues. It says, finally, in discussing the effectiveness of performance improvement teams, we must specifically recognize the effects that individuals have on PI processes. In reality, all of the team development techniques are intended to help teams function, although the people issues and become effective teams. Effective teams typically succeed in the following objectives. So, establishing their goals, communicating in a two-way mode, valuing open expression of both ideas and feelings, distributing leadership and responsibility among the team members, distributing power among all team members on the basis of information, ability, and contribution to active teams, and not on the basis of members' place in the formal organization structure, managing decision-making techniques to the type of decision-making situation, and usually making important decisions through consensus, meaning that the group as a whole agrees on the appropriate action. Viewing periodic controversy and conflict among the team members as a positive aspect of team growth. Not everybody's going to agree, and sometimes we have to see each other's point of view and agree to disagree sometimes. So I find it interesting in meetings, listening to other people's perspectives and trying to not put up a wall, but understand why they feel the way they feel. So that's always interesting to me. Focusing on the issues of the team has been organized to address and keeping at the heart of the work the mission, vision, and values, and making sure the team's performance improvement efforts and management of the project design or tools are cost conscious. We can't take the approach that money is no object. Money is an object. And no matter how big the company is. So that has to be taken in consideration. So people issues section there. Let's look at the check your understanding questions real quick. Number one, before a performance improvement team begins working on the improvement process, they develop a broad statement of the goals and purpose of the performance improvement initiative. This statement is called the team mission. Number two, when the PI team first meets and discusses participation expectations, communication methods, and plans for decision-making techniques to be used, these are examples of ground rules. Okay? Now, the last little section that I want to go over is items that are used in that quality improvement toolbox. And one thing is having an agenda. An agenda for every meeting is critical. Most of y'all have probably been to meetings and were handed an agenda. What does that do? It tells you what's going to be discussed in the meeting, who's responsible for discussing those items, and typically an agenda is set forth to keep everything reined in and keeping everybody focused on the topic at hand. So you're not just randomly bringing up topics. And it's important that the team leader or the scribe, team scribe, keep things on track, or the timekeeper keeps things on track so that someone's not going off the rails and wasting or using up a lot of valuable time. So an agenda is a list of tasks that can be accomplished during the meeting. Typically, like I said, it's going to indicate what topic, who's responsible for that, leading that topic, how much time is delegated to that topic, etc. So very important. There's an example of one over on page 63. In a minute, I'm going to show you ways to find agendas that you can put together. Look on over. There's another term. There's some real life examples that I hope you'll take time to read and think about. There is another term over on page 64 I want to mention called an action plan down at the very bottom. An action plan is a set of initiatives that are to be taken to achieve a performance improvement goal. So that's make sure you look at that definition there of an action plan. Now, let's look at the review questions on page 66. The first question, let me make sure I've covered everything here. Yeah, a couple of examples of some mission statements. Well, I'm going to leave those up there for this first question. It says a team mission statement should address each of these questions. What process is to be improved? For whom is the process performed? What products does the process produce? And what is not working in the current process? How well must the process function? So the question is, write a team-based mission statement that includes all 5 questions that a team mission statement should answer. So basically what you're doing is putting into a statement a mission that answers those questions. Here's an example. Here's a mission statement of the performance improvement team. We're not talking about the facility itself. We're talking about what's the mission of this performance improvement team? What are we hoping to accomplish by forming this team and doing the work to improve whatever it is we've been tasked to improve? So here's the mission statement. Evaluate the emergency department's clinical assessment process in regard to the patient privacy, data collection, and staff communication while maintaining a 95% patient and employee satisfaction with the process. So they've indicated what the problem basically was, what they hope to do, and what outcome they hope to achieve from it. Number 2, it says a healthcare organization posts the following statement on their website. As an organization, we are honest, ethical, and strive to always do the right thing for the community, our employees, patients we serve. This is an example of a values statement. Remember, a values statement is going to focus more on social, ethical responsibilities. Number 3, you've been appointed as a new HIM manager, upcoming staff meeting, an agenda needs to be created, and they want you to design an agenda. So I basically just went ahead and pulled something that looks like an agenda. So you can see here, it's got, you know, the team, the meeting time, where it met. It's got the different topics that are going to be done in the meeting and how long it should designate. And if we add this up, 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, so roughly 60 minutes for an hour is how long this should last. So hopefully things are kept on track. And you should, because people are very busy. They delegate their time based on, you know, what time's allotted for meetings, and if you go over, then it throws everything else off for the rest of their day. But what I wanted to show you that I mentioned a while ago, I'm just going to go to File New, and I'm going to type in Agendas, Template Agendas, and I just want to show you that Microsoft Word has a ton of different agendas that you could click on and open up and edit for your purpose. There's different agenda formats that you could use, but for example, I'm just going to click on this one. I just click randomly. There's the start and end time, where it's at. That's just one. I'm going to look here at this one. Nope, that's business cards. That's not what we want. Here's an agenda, and you see, you know, you can fancy it up. Here's an agenda, and again, just who's included, the times, who's responsible, etc. And it looks nice. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to show you that there's agenda templates that are out there. There's minutes, agendas. All sorts of different templates that you could use or design your own. Number 4, Effective performance teams make decisions as groups, often by consensus, acknowledging the perspectives of all participants. Discuss the challenges that occur when clinicians, managers, and administrators who are all comfortable with making decisions work together on PI teams. Well, when that happens, just a second. See where I was going with this, sorry. Oh, I was rereading the question and seeing what exactly they were asking for. Let me look at it again. Effective performance teams make decisions as groups, often by consensus, acknowledging the perspectives of all participants. Discuss the challenges that often occur when clinicians, managers, and administrators who are all comfortable in making decisions work together on PI teams. So you've got, the clinicians, you got managers, you got administrators. They're all very sure of themselves and what they want. Sometimes that can clash because somebody has to bend a little bit. Somebody has to concede that they need to make changes. So again, when you've got these people that are always making decisions, these are very strong personalities, so that can cause issues with trying to move forward. Okay. Number 5, Sharon was upset at the conclusion of the last PI team meeting because all of the other members just got up and left the room without cleaning up their lunch mess and paperwork. What team protocol must be missing in order for this situation to occur? And that would be the ground rules. Remember, the ground rules established how things are going to be done, how things are going to be taken care of, from setting up the room to cleaning up the room to attendance to participation, those sort of things. So those are called ground rules, and they're not to be taken for granted. They really need to be in place because, again, when you've got several strong personalities, there can be room for conflict, and if you have it in writing, then there's no questions about that. Okay, so that is chapter 4 of performance improvement. Thank you.